Welcome to Bear Lifestyle, the podcast where we speak up and speak out about all taboo topics and make them normal and acceptable.
You are invited to be curious, to try something new, and stay open to provocative perspectives.
I'm Simona Spark, a best-selling author, international speaker, transformational coach, and so many other things. Beyond anything else, I'm a woman who stopped following other people's rules and started creating my own.
I'm Carolyn Marcos, a life coach on a mission to break the labels and expectations that others place on us. I am a woman who used to hate her own body until I dared to become the sexy goddess I am today.
In this space, we are going to get naked by stripping away insecurities, self-judgments, and all kinds of limitations, and reach in for the essence of who we really are, Bear.
Beautiful, authentic, real, and ever evolving. Let's begin.
Hello, welcome back, welcome back. Hold
Yay!
on.
Here we are again.
We celebrate, we continue to celebrate. We celebrate every time. I celebrate myself, I celebrate you, and I celebrate all our audience and viewers.
Yes.
I need to refill my glass. Um, I know we promised to come here today in this episode to really walk into the room that we just opened the door in the previous podcast about being in our body in order to have a good sexual experience. And while we're jumping here, Carolyn and I just want to let you in. We start talking about the gray hair, and we kind of show each other the roots. And it's so crazy because without even talking with each other, we individually make the decisions for the past couple of weeks of going back to the natural color and allowed our gray to grow. So
Right?
what I was saying is that I personally went gray at age of 27 when I was pregnant. Something happened and the top of my head just went gray. So I, intensively color my hair since. But I done it because it was such so much shame attached to it, like I did something wrong, and was that strong belief that gray means that I'm old. Of course I'm not old, I'm 27, but I want to hide it. I want to hide it, right? And now I'm in a space where, like, oh my god, it's so beautiful, I can't wait to have them grow. And it's the old, it's not even nearby my silver hair, and it's just like, oh girlfriend, you grown.
Yes. It's amazing when we get to step out of that space and make a decision for ourselves. It's like for me the decision is um I want to embrace it now. And I colored my hair and I really don't even know why I did it this last time, other than I wanted to see my natural color again. I wanted to kind of like be able to embrace that. But every time that those roots started to show up, I started to look in the mirror. It's like, oh, I'm washed out. Oh, I'm getting old. I look old. I'm only 55. All of these things started to come to play, and then I was like, my wife has got the most beautiful silver in her
She
hair,
does. She
and
does.
I want that. But I want it on my terms. So I'm thinking that I'm going to go ahead and go in and let somebody take the color back out, and let's put the gray all the way in. And then if
Yes.
I don't like it, guess what I get to do? I get to make that choice of changing it. But it's not because of that I feel old. It's not because of anything. I think that it's more accepting. It's
It's
another
what it
place.
is. It's acceptance.
Yeah,
It's
it's
acceptance. Acceptance without associated with the age and the meaning on the age of being old or mature or middle age or like all the labels. Like, oh my God, we can't, like, how the hell we even imagine to fit in so many boxes? Like, it's impossible, right? So, same goes for personal pleasure, for sex,
yes.
how much we put on it based on age, how
Yes.
much inhibition, how much insecurity, it's like, oh, she's not experimented. That's why she's insecure. Like, who come up with those rules? Right?
The all-knowing them, they, those people out there who seem to know everything and tell us exactly what we should do and how we should feel and what we should be experiencing. They're
Yes.
not me.
Yes, having a conversation with another woman or man, right? And saying, yeah, it's not how it used to be. I'm like, what not? Why not?
Right?
I'm here to say that my experience is it only gets better and better and better. And if you want to put that on age, that's fine if that's serving you. If you want to put that on experience, that's fine if that's serving you. But again, the reason has nothing to do with how I actually feel. And I personally believe that is rooted into being in your body. As Carolyn was sharing in a previous episode, like, how could you expect to experience a full pleasure in your body when you're not there?
Yeah. I was so good at not being in it at all. Not at all. Yeah. And how it's true, you can't experience your own pleasure. You don't even know what you want. You can't even express like what it is that you need or what you desire if you're not in your own self, fully accepted.
Yes, yes,
Wrinkles, crinkles, gray hair, whatever. I don't care. 20 extra pounds. It doesn't even matter because it's who you are. When you start to accept that about yourself, it's like those things still exist. You can change them if you want to, or you can just accept them and love them, and then realize that you're loved, you're accepted no matter what.
yes. One of my clients said, and I love it so much, we do a lot of like reframing work and how to say things in positive and such. And she said, well, again, extra 20 pounds. That's what remind me when you say that. And it's like, you know what? It's just more of me to experience pleasure with. And I'm like, I love it.
Yep, yep, there's more of me to experience. Yes,
So,
absolutely.
okay, we also do not want to not address, be aware of that sexual inhibition. A lot of time it's coming from a sexual trauma.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily that a trauma that you experience is not necessarily your experience, but as we know, a lot of trauma it's been passing through our
Hmm.
programming from if we talk about women, and it's not exclusively by any stretch, from our mother, from our grandmother, from our grandmother, right?
Yes.
So at some level, some of that trauma has been passing on through the generation. So you might be someone who says, "Hey, nobody ever treat me bad. Nothing bad ever happened to me," and yet, what does all that fear and all that pain come from? It could come from there. I know there is this spiritual practice of family constellation. I saw it in some movie somewhere, and it kind of like that took me because I'm someone who experienced sexual trauma in variety of circumstances. And but I also know, and I work with people that they haven't, but then yet they behave as I used to. So it just makes me wonder, like, what kind of sexual traumatizing experience has been happening in previous generation that has been passing on. So for those of you who listen and have that wonder or curiosity, it's just like have a conversation with yourself first and see and just get honest and open about what might had happened to you, and try having conversation with your parents, with your mother, with your grandparents, and see if it's anything there that you're not aware of. Anything you want to add to that, Carolyn?
I think it's really an important place to step into, because when we're going into a place where we want to accept all of ourselves, we have to be able to accept that there are wounds. Some of those wounds are ours and some of those wounds are not. And some of those things are things that we choose to continue on with. And then there's other ones that make us go, is it? you know so really be in that moment, have that honest conversation with yourself, and then get really curious and start asking the questions, you know and know that whatever comes up, whatever is turned over, you're not alone. You're
Right.
never alone in any of this situation. And that was the biggest thing for me when I was going through my own trauma, was the first time that I heard that somebody else had been abused in some of the same ways that I was. I was like, other people have experienced this.
Hmm.
It way I thought I was the only one,
Yeah.
and then it took away, oh, I'm not alone. When you realize that you're not alone going through this, it kind of gives you that space to breathe and know it's like there's a collective um experience that's happened, and
Yeah.
we all start to feel that collective experience at some point in our lives, and it's
Yeah.
okay,
And it's
and you're
all we
not
need.
broken.
Yes, you're not broken, never, ever. It's all we need in that moment. That really, I like how you say this. Just like you could breathe, like it's a little bit of relief, not of
Hmm.
the trauma, and it's not instant healing. God, no, it might take for the rest of our life, but is that just next step that we needed? That's just releasing a little bit. It's opening the door to healing. Let's just say that it's opening the door to healing, right?
Yes.
So, and also what I got to discover in my own experience was some of the traumatizing experience, they're like so intense that actually our brain has the capacity to block them out of
Yes.
our memory. And that was my experience, and it's like in detail described in my book. I mean, for those of you that you're not seeing, they're just listening. Raising my voice, the memoir of an immigrant, was actually the experience that I wake up in the morning and say, "Oh shit, this is not a dream. This is it's a memory." And it really got me, like, was an instant experience of nobody ever could know about this. For obvious reasons, I was so embarrassed. I saw, how could I make such poor choices? I did this to myself. It was just like blaming myself and judging myself, right? And next second was like, oh shit, this is exactly the reason why I need to write the story, because
Right.
I'm not alone. I can be, I'm not that special. Unfortunately, I'm not the only one that had that story, and the story needed to be shared so other people could see themselves in them and get to where you just explained a couple minutes ago, like, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
It's nothing wrong with me. I didn't do anything wrong. Those things are happening,
Hmm.
unfortunately, to so many other people. And I say people because it's women and men. I mean, we know that when it's coming to sexual abuse, percentage for women is way higher, but that doesn't mean that men doesn't experience the same thing. Unfortunately, they do.
Yes, they do.
So, and then the healing is the healing, you know. It could be as simple as just recognize it for yourself. A lot could be released there. And then it could be as simple as just talking with a trusted friend, right?
Mhm.
And then you could take it deeper and deeper in so many different places that you could take it. You could read the right book. You could, hire a therapist. You could hire a coach. You could hire a spiritual mentor. Whatever you need, it's perfect. What you need, that's what you need to allow yourself to have to start the process of healing. Now, that
Right.
being said, that doesn't mean that we're gonna wait until we heal in order to live our life, because that might just be you need to wait for the rest of your life, because the healing it's
Ever
it's a
evolving.
process, ever evolving, ever evolving. Yes, I love that. um, but let that be the first step into getting back into your body and
Mhm.
own even that wooden part, with the intention of I need to own all of me and feel all of me in order to experience life at fullest, right?
Yes, 100%.
So we kind of tap into the trauma a little bit, and I know it's not very excited, but it's very real. It's very
Mhm.
real. And another direction of that, I think, or should I say, the purpose of doing the healing work and getting into our body, as Carolyn was saying about like really fully experiencing pleasure, it only could happen if you're fully in your body. But it's
Mhm.
also help us to express our desires.
Yeah.
So can we just or go deeper into that, like how we talk and how we ask for what we want,
Yes,
like
absolutely.
in this intimate space when you're like literally naked with another human,
Mhm.
or two humans, depends what the setting is.
Right.
and how to ask for what you want.
Right. I think the first place that that happens though is when you know what it is that you like yourself.
Mm,
So, it goes into this whole place of the taboo subject of masturbation, touching yourself. It goes into this place of, well, if I don't know what I like, so get comfortable, get to know yourself, find out, like what do you like? Because then it makes it easier for you to speak up and say, I want more of that. I don't like this.
mm-hmm,
I need more of this if we're going to go to this place. So it's stepping up to yourself and like really owning all parts of you. Even those parts that are all tucked away deep inside, you
mm-hmm,
know, it's knowing what it is that you like, what feels good for you. What kind of touch do you like? What kind of pressure do you want? What kind of kisses do you need? What do you need beforehand? you know and and owning it. For the longest time it's like I wanted to have the mood set, I wanted everything to be a certain way, until I realized that that was just my way of hiding. Now it's like, is that really what I need in this moment? Or
mm-hmm.
is it something else? And then being able to say it, speak it out. And I learned this exercise where you say you have 5 minutes between the two of you, and you say what it is that you need. And the other person just accepts that. They just acknowledge that you spoke that. Now, whether it's going to happen for you or not, is that's not even the place for it. It's just that you took that time and you spoke what it was that you needed.
Oh,
You
I
know,
love that. I love that. If that happens for you or not. So, it's not about if you get it or not. And the reason I want to pause here, because it's been my personal experience, and as I say, I'm not that special. I want to believe that other might have the same experience as well, where I got myself into a space where, at that point, it felt so brave to ask for what I want, right?
hmm
And I didn't get it. And I didn't make a big deal about it, all right? But then a second time, I asked for the same thing and I didn't get it. So when that I did was I started making a story in my head about, well, this person doesn't love me enough to give me what I asked for. And I knew that that's not true, right? So then I asked again and I didn't get it.
Right.
So then the story just evolved into, oh, I'm being weird. It's something wrong with me. I'm a freak. I'm broken.
Yeah.
So I stopped asking.
Mhm.
And I think it's important to talk about this because we do so much work, and especially when we need to overcome, trauma and all the demons and all the things, we do so much work to get into the point where we actually speak up and voice our desires, and yet when they don't happen, we just take them back. And here's the
Right.
biggest problem with that: the desires, they never die. We could ignore them, we could pretend they're not there, but once you have a desire, that never, never, ever dies. So if it's our responsibility to satisfy it, to fulfill it, and if we don't, what that grows into and just resentment and all kind of yucky things, right? So
Right.
what I learned from that is that first of all, I could have handled it better and
Mhm.
actually insist of having a conversation about it instead of just walking away and make all the stories. And to this days I will never know what happened in the other person head because we never talk about it. I,
Right.
just walk away thinking, oh, first of all, I should not have made the story that it's something wrong with me because I know that it's nothing wrong with me. But second is like, I never asked, like, what do you think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that when you go into the conversation about making that time to ask for what you want, you need to make some agreements beforehand. Make the agreement that it's okay not to want the same things. It's okay to have a conversation about some of those desires and wants at a later date. Right now, it's about taking that courage and bravery and stepping fully into ourselves strongly to say exactly what it is that we need or we would like to try or we would like to experience. Because then it opens up that conversation later on. And let's face it, intimate relationships need to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we should be talking in the bedroom. It's not seriousness, it's not all of these things. I used to giggle a lot in it when it came into intimacy, but it was my own nervousness
Mm-hmm.
around being intimate, being uncomfortable with who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's conversation. It's what would you like? What do you want to experience? What would make you feel good? What brings you pleasure?
Mm-hmm.
So when you start to have those conversations, and then, it's like, I'm curious about, and just speaking whatever it is that you're curious about, and then bringing it back to a conversation. How could we incorporate that into our relationship,
Right.
so that it's comfortable for both people, or even in dating relationships, to be able to step in and just speak what you want.
Yes, yes. Well,
Because
I keep saying like I'm back into the dating after 3 marriages, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the best time of my life. Uh, but
yeah.
it has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with the experiences. I mean, everything contribute to everything. I won't say it has nothing to do with it. But what the only common denominator between all my marriages and divorces and relationship is moi. So
Right.
I'm the one that I'm more evolved and more into my body, so then the experience is totally different that it's been even a year ago. I don't want to go
Yeah.
back to 30 years ago, but even a year ago, right? But also I recognize that um, we grow up. I do say we because I truly believe that a lot of people, not just me, we grow up with this uh, process how things should go. You you
Yeah.
you you meet the guy, you talk on the phone for hours, you wrote each other letters back in time or text forever, and then you go to a date, and then you go to a movie, and then I don't know how many dates until you actually get to have sex, right? and
Right.
and then I don't know, here in the States it's just they are talking about the first base, second base. I never know what it is, and I don't understand why in the freaking world we have sports references to pleasure. But that's a topic that I can't even discuss because I don't understand all that.
Right. Me
it
either, so
just
it's okay.
confuses it just confuses me, right? um and a few years ago, I went on a date with this guy, and then we ended up having sex on the first date, and next morning I was like, oh my god, I felt so bad about, I mean, sex was amazing and was fireworks and was fantastic, right? Instead of recognizing the connection and how well we fit, I freak out about it's not allowed to have sex on the first date.
Is that so funny how we do that to you to
And now I'm
ourselves?
like, I do kind of want to have sex on the first date to see if I take this further. Isn't
But
that
but
crazy?
no, you get to write your own book, your own rule book. How do you want to experience it? It's like don't meet somebody in a bar. Well, I met my wife in a bar. Don't take them home to your place that first night. I did that. Don't spend the night with them. I did that. All
Hmm.
of these things. And it's like, but if I hadn't gone to that bar, I wouldn't have met this incredible person. If I hadn't taken her home, then I wouldn't have known like how well we fit together in our lives. If I didn't take these steps, I wouldn't know these things. So I broke that rule book,
Yeah.
20 years ago. And but I think that that's part of the wonderfulness of when we get to step into ourselves. We get to step fully into ourselves and really go deeper and decide, is that for me or isn't it for me?
Hmm.
Um, is that just what society expects, or is that what I believe is the right way to do things?
Who's
What's my
talking?
way?
Who's talking?
Yeah, who's talking? Is that my mom talking? Oh, wait a second. She needs to take a back seat because she's no business in this conversation,
Right.
you know?
But I do want to ask you something though, because I am, as you and many people, familiar with this double standards in a relationship, a woman and
Yes.
man, right? And especially when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to sex, it's okay for a man to just go and fuck everybody, and he's just an amazing. But if the woman do it, she's a whore, right? Um, and then who's making the first step, and which place we are going to, mine's or yours, we're gonna go deeper into that. But I just want to ask if you experience the double standard even exists when you as a woman you are in a relationship with another woman, and how that applies there, because it's a totally different dynamic when we go into the LGBTQ community, and people are ignorant, they don't even think about it. And I'm personally, I'm tired of hearing, they look at two women and says, okay, she's the man and she's the woman. I'm like, no dude, they are both women.
Right,
But yeah, but one is the
right.
man and one is the woman. Like, no, they're
No.
both women.
Yep, yep.
So do you
I
mind
definitely,
speak to that a little bit? Standards,
yeah,
double standards, who makes the first step?
yep. I definitely experienced that in the first two relationships that I was in. It being both of those women were very masculine. And so they took that role of the more dominant in the relationship.
Hmm.
So they made the first steps. We went where it was that they wanted to go. We went on their timeline, you know.
But
Um,
that's not even, that doesn't even, to me, it doesn't sound like leading. It sounds like control, like I'm deciding and you have to
yep.
follow. Not available
And
for that. Go on.
no, I'm not available for that anymore. And then but those relationships, they um I was very ignorant at that point. You know, I was just coming into my own. I was just making decisions. I had been in a relationship with a guy for a very long time, and now I'm like, this is not me. And so experience this, but the stereotypes existed even
Mhm.
in those relationships, and I was like,
Mm,
I don't like this.
mhm.
Which was, I think, one of the things that really attracted me to my wife Sonia is that we've never played that we've never had that dance. You know, nobody is more feminine or more masculine or plays one role over another role. We both have a very important role in our relationship, and it's always been on the timeline or the understanding that when we came into the relationship, we did not want to start a relationship. So it was, I'm having fun, I'm doing what I want to do, and when it stops being fun and all of the good things, then I'm going to move on. You know, obviously
Right.
20 years later we're still in this relationship, but we've never.
Something went well,
It
something
went
was
very
right.
well. Yep, exactly. We created a really incredible space for each other where we both get to be who we are.
Mhm.
And I didn't have that opportunity in other relationships, probably why they didn't work out, because I was not fed in those relationships to be the person that I am. Um, and I didn't want to be dominated in those relationships. And so
Maybe just
being
a
in,
little, like in a kinky way.
oh yeah, maybe just a little bit. But being in the relationship that I'm in now, I see that we broke all of those labels,
Yes.
and people still ask the question, who wears the pants? Well, we both do, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
that's so offensive.
yeah, the other night we were dancing here in the kitchen area, and Sylvia looks at me and she goes, "We can't both lead," you know. Um, and it's so funny because it just society sees things the way that they see them, but in
Yeah,
our relationship, it's just two people who happened to fall in love and created something incredible out of what they
right.
found together. And
I
I
love
think
that.
anybody has that ability
Hmm.
to fall in love and create exactly what they want, ask for it, desire it, move towards it,
Hmm.
as long as they are accepting of themselves.
Yes. And that's key of being it's not, I mean, I know it sounds like you have to be brave enough to do that, and it is to some extent, but it's like, can we
Definitely.
just make that the norm? Can we not just
Yes.
make that like, oh my God, you need so much courage to be yourself? Like, can we just get to the point where that's the norm and there no courage
Right.
is needed and no bravery is necessary, and just make your own damn rules because it is your own damn life, right? And in my TEDx talk, I was talking about I want to make a point of like we all have this masculine and feminine energy, and I love that you
Yes.
touch on that because it's very important. I mean, we know that men and women, we are wired differently. Our parts, our genitalias are different, and they do different things. Yes,
We're way
yes,
more
and yes.
powerful in that.
But, or and, should I not say but, is that we all have a masculine and feminine energy, and we get to decide to have an agreement who's leading. In my TEDx talk, I was giving the example of like my partner. He really loved doing the dishes, and I absolutely hate that task, right? So I'm like, okay, you do that, but I will rather go and repair things around the house because it's just like that brings me joy to fix things, to build things, to I know how to hold a hammer, and like that doesn't make me less of a woman. It's just in that
Mm-mm.
moment for that particular task, if because they tell us that that's a masculine job, if that's true,
Mhm.
then that's where my masculine energy is showing up. But is it that true? Like, who decide that shit?
Yep. And isn't that what we're doing here? Isn't that like exactly the reason why we have these conversations, is so that we can give the new I don't like this word, but we're giving the new normal. We're destigmatizing the
Hmm.
things that it's like it's a man's world. It's, that's a woman's job. That's
Yeah.
a child's place. All of these things, it's like
So much pressure.
done. Yeah.
So
I
much
I
pressure.
don't want any of that. It doesn't go with anything in my
Yes.
wardrobe of life.
Yes. It's like, what is it that I want now? And allowed to not be what I want tomorrow. Because I can't say it enough. Every morning we wake up, we are a new person.
Yeah.
Every morning we wake up, we are a new person. If we get to do something for ourselves when it's come to self-love and self-acceptance and self-care, is like, hey, who are you today? What do
Right?
you like? Ooh, I like
Yes.
you.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
And I
I
like that
love that.
when you mentioned to getting into that intimacy space and actually have a conversation what you like and what you don't like, and it's so exciting. I watch myself now at this point in my life dating. I actually enjoy having that conversation like right off the gate, right? It's like, okay,
Yes.
let's talk about sex. And a lot of men are like, what? I'm like, yeah, let's talk about sex. And like, oh, okay. It's exciting for me. It's so much fun to
Yes.
to get curious, to meet a person, a stranger, and to see their reaction. It just tells so much about where they are, right? And then it's like, yeah,
Yep.
what do you like, what's your style, what's happening? And then even then, like you kind of make some judgments of the brain level of like if it's a match or if it's not a match. But then when you get
Right.
together, you still get to stay in that curiosity of like, hey, this is my energy, that's your energy. And then when we are together, we just create a brand new energy that, hear me out, you never ever ever have it before.
Right.
And
Yes.
that's something super excited to be curious about. And I truly believe that the same thing happened in a relationship too. Because if
Yes.
you wake up every day as a new person, it's like allowed yourself to, like, that's how I see my next relationship, to be with somebody that I'm like, I know how to be curious and appreciative of who I am every day, but to be with
Right.
somebody to say, hey babe, who are you today? And
I
just meet
love
that
that.
person all over again and allow myself to just fall in love all over again. Like, I'm so excited just at the thought of it. And
It's so amazing. Yes.
that being said, I won't take anything less than that because I get
No.
to have that.
Yes, you do get to have that. Even in a 20-year relationship, it's like
Hmm.
Sonia and I are at this place where we are rediscovering so much about ourselves and about each other, and that when we have coffee in the morning, it's like, ooh, who are you today?
Hmm.
And what do I get to be curious about today?
Yes.
And watch and see and enjoy and be the spectator behind all of that, and
Yes.
then the next day wake up and get to experience it a whole new way,
Yes.
because we get to evolve like that. We get to change on a daily basis. And that is beautiful.
Hmm. Ah, so juicy. Let's don't forget about the audience here. And I love giving homework, or
Yes.
not homework, but suggestions. I want to suggest to get curious about who are you today, and notice how are you different than yesterday. And if that's too close, go back a month or go back a year, right? Just to notice who you have become. And I promise it's such a juicy game to play every day, to just rediscover and learn how to accept yourself, like yourself, love yourself, and get to the point when you fall in love with yourself over and over and over again. When
Yeah.
you get to do that, then it's just easy peasy to do the same thing with your partner. And what could be more phenomenal in a relationship that just fall in love over and over and over again, and break
Yeah.
that freaking stereotype of like, oh, after 20 years. I'm like, no, those two girls right here, like I know them for over 4 years, and I see them just like more powerful every time I see them. It's just like it's not going down, it's just going up and up and up. It's getting
Yeah.
better and better and better, and that's what I want for myself and for everybody else, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm in the same space. I want that same thing for everybody. I think everybody should be able to experience what it is that they want the most in their sensuousness, in their sexuality, in their life, in their everyday experiences.
Wonderful. Well, I think we could wrap up here. And what should we invite the audience to follow us into the next episode? Where do you want to take this conversation? In which direction feels right?
Ooh, gosh, they all feel right.
There is no wrong answer here.
There is no wrong answer here. I think we just keep plowing through and maybe we dive just a little bit deeper into asking for what you really want. You know,
Ooh, should we do like questions?
yeah, we could do that.
All right, that's what we gotta do, people, next time. Thank you again for being here. Don't forget that we love you and we appreciate you, and we
Yes.
wish you to go ahead and find a bear experience and share with us what inspired you, what triggered you, and open the description of the episode to find all the links that are sending you to places to our community and Facebook group, where we decided last time that we're gonna do Q&A, and to send us to the, oh, very important, wait, I forgot.
Okay.
She's like, what did you forgot? We forgot to announce the retreat. the,
Oh,
the way that we come together was because I was working on this bear, building this bear retreat for the past 5 years, like getting me through the space, and then having the pleasure and the honor to walk Carolyn to that experience. We decided to co-host a bear luxurious retreat, and
oh,
that's what bring us to let's do a podcast to actually talk about all the things.
yes. How
Maybe
could
we
we
should start in the
forget?
first episode with that, but hey, that's where we are. Um,
Maybe that's where we need to go in our next episode is talk about that retreat.
yeah, let's give more details about that. But as it is now, we want to have it somewhere in the end of May, and we are looking for a location because it has to be what we envision. That's that. And we will let you know as we go in each episode where we are with that, and who gets to join us and what we're gonna do, and so on and so on. So I forgot that.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait for this retreat. I cannot wait for this experience for people.
All right, you guys, we will see you next time, giving you more details about the Bear Luxurious Retreat, and we're gonna dive deeper into how to ask and how to know what to ask when in the most private space in your life.
Yeah, nice. I love it.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
We will love to hear from you. What inspired you? What triggered you? And what interests you?
Do you have questions? Perfect. Get your answers in our Q&A sessions in the Bear Experience Facebook group.
There are many ways for you to join the conversation. You could leave your comments or you could email us.
We can't wait to have you back. Till then, be Bear.
Beautiful, authentic, real, and ever evolving.